Welcome to Positive Philter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career, with a little self-help along the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and people. It's Philip Wilkerson back with another episode of Positive Philter. I'm joined by a special guest. Everyone's a special guest because they take time to join me on their show. I'm joined by Alex Yee. Now, I'm going to let him introduce himself, but I will say this. This dynamic man is a father, husband, some full-time job, and a recording artist. How do you get it all done? We're going to find out that now on the episode of Positive Philter. But before we get started, Alex, go ahead and give the listeners a little background on who you are.
Yeah. My name is Alex, born and raised here in DC area. Like Philip said, I'm a security engineer on the side, but I'm also a rapper, an artist for about, I don't even know how long at this point, 15 years. I don't know. It's been a long time, but also a father to two. Take care of my mom, who's sick as well. There's a lot going on. And like our conversation before, it's all about thriving and surviving, right? So that's kind of been my motto as well.
I love it. And so we're going to talk about that balance in your art. So you grew up in the DMV. When did you start tinkering with music?
So going back a little bit, like hip hop wise, my brother who passed away, I don't know how long ago now, he kind of introduced me. He got me into Black Sheep, Rakim and Eric B, Big Daddy Kane, MC Light, that thing. Then you also introduced me to Go-Go, actually, Chuck Brown, Backyard Band, Rare Essence, just that stuff, man. It's just, when he introduced it to me, it was amazing. And then it kind of raised me, like the culture, right? And bringing that, not to go to the side a little bit, but like hip hop culture is kind of what accepted me growing up, right?
Okay.
And it's interesting because my dad's Korean, my mom's Filipino, and kind of I'm half, I guess you can say, whatever, 100% of both. But it was a little tough, right? Both sides didn't accept me in some ways. Like Filipino, I had a little Korean in me, so I looked a certain way. Korean wise, I didn't speak the language. I was raised Filipino, and then at school, I was in a predominantly white school as well. So I just never found my standing. So hip hop culture is what kind of got me, and I was, accepting me for what I was, being different, celebrating being different, and kind of music came from that, I guess. And I started around 6th grade, 7th grade, I think, something like that.
I love that. I mean, honestly, that touches because, music is universal. I think there's aspects of hip hop where people say, obviously it was originated in Black communities, but obviously music is universal. And so music's for everybody. And we have artists of different ethnicities and nationalities thrive in a music genre. So I like to kind of pivot to that. When they see a half Filipino, half Korean embracing hip hop, what has been some of the positive and negative criticisms that you've seen when people meet you for the first time as an artist, and not as an artist?
Yeah, I mean, negatively, I guess negative to a degree. They're like, oh, I would have never guessed you rapped, or I never, I kind of heard it the way you talked a little bit, but didn't really know. But yeah, I guess negatively, I don't look the part to a degree. I don't know. I'm myself, so I try to be myself, and I guess that doesn't fit into certain caricatures of how people view a rapper. So that's, I guess, the negative portion. The positive portion of that is, kind of opened me up to people that I never would have connected with otherwise. I think that's the beauty of it, right? And that's the beauty of hip hop as well. People that love hip hop are in that culture. It's an accepting culture for the most part, and it's something I've ran with, and that's the positive part of it. I feel like.
I love the fact that you said it is accepting for the most part, because I will say this: if you got bars, you got bars. If you, in hip hop, like I guess the proof is in the pudding. If you can do it and do it well, I think it's almost like that speaks for itself. And I think that can go with a lot of different things in music and art. Ideally, if you do it at a high level, it transcends identities, if that makes sense, right? Like, eventually you're not known. Like for me, I'm hearing your music. I don't think, oh man, that's rap music from half Korean, half Filipino. No,
Yeah.
I'd be like, yo, that's dope. That's from a rap, that is
Yeah.
music I vibe with. And you think of
Appreciate
the
that.
music that transcends the artist's identity, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Have you heard
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
That's the
Absolutely.
feeling that you have?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. There's a lot of rappers out there, right? There's a lot. Everyone that think they are and whatnot, whatever it is. And yeah, I definitely get that. Like if you can rap, if you have some sort of talent, even a little bit, you'll get accepted a little bit easier, I guess.
Okay, so we're going back 15 years. I love it. Where you were, let's date us a little bit because we're older. How was you recording stuff? Was you doing it on LimeWire, Napster? Like,
Oh
was
man,
you,
I was
how was
on.
you, take us back to how, I mean, you got your brother introduced you to listening to it, but take us
Yeah.
back, like, how were you starting to record?
So an old friend of mine, like in sixth, seventh grade, he was kind of the same way, kind of like separated from everyone who loved hip hop. So we kind of connected at that point. We used Sound Recorder. I don't know if you remember Sound Recorder on Windows, and it's we had the little stick mic that comes with the old Windows things, and it's crazy because we had to get it on one take, but we couldn't go back and do it over. So we'd be standing hunched over a mic and just trying to finish it. Quality was terrible. We were terrible. But yeah, that's kind of how it started. And it's cool that I was able to start with him because we just kept trying to push each other. We got better and better from there.
Okay, that's behind the scenes. When did you start like publicly doing it? Like
Oh,
going to
publicly doing
talent
it.
going to talent shows or at least uploading it. If when you start uploading it, and take us
So
back to that. Was that nerve wracking? Were you nervous about, like,
yeah.
obviously you and your boy were doing it with the sound recorder, but
Hmm.
it's a different vibe when you have to make it public, like share this talent or share this art with
Yeah.
other people publicly.
That's funny. I remember distinctly the first cover we did. We had our faces, we kind of like pasted it on there and had the flames all around the sides and everything, the old CD
Oh, you talking about
covers.
like the juvenile, like when they had that when that was going on with the flames and
Yeah, yeah,
the hot boys.
exactly. The hot. I feel like we were kind of mimicking that because we were a duo. So, yeah, that was when we first put out something. We did a couple shows, like kind of class because we were in sixth and seventh grade. We didn't know any better. We didn't know how to do that stuff. Yeah, we started doing that. We got a decent reception because nobody was doing it at the time in that group. So it was decent. And then actually backing up a little bit, the first time I ever was on a mic and doing something is a friend of mine. There was a little talent show thing at my school, and then they're like, "Okay, anyone else want to come up?" And I stood up and I did Will Smith Miami. And oh man, that was nerve wracking in itself, but I realized how much I liked it at that point, and it kind of springboard wanting to do more live performances from. I mean, I was young as hell, but then that's kind of where it went.
I love it. I love it. And like, okay, so doing it through high school,
Yeah.
take us back to, like, you're going, obviously you went to college, I'm
Yep.
assuming.
Yep. Yep.
Um, take us to that when you were like balancing, like, yo, I'm gonna actually be a student or pursue music. And a lot of artists, we have a lot of artists that decide to, drop out, like
Mm.
Kanye or J. Cole. Well, not J. Cole actually finished.
I
Shout out to
think
J.
finish.
Cole.
Yeah.
And J. Cole did finish. But talk about that balance in college. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to study engineering. Like, did you still do a minor in music? Talk about
So
that in college.
no, I didn't do a minor in music. In high school, I had the dream, right? The dream was there. I was doing terrible in school. I was literally focusing on that all the time as much as I could. Was able to thankfully get into undergrad. When I got to that point, I had to try and balance it because, also, old school parents. So I had the, Asian family. There's no such thing. You gotta do it. You gotta do your school. Um, so I just had to find a way to balance it. And I feel like that kind of got me to the point now where I'm able to balance it in there because I just find time to weave in and out. I don't get much sleep, so I guess the time I just find time to weave in and out of it. But yeah, I just continue to record albums and stuff like that. I kind of grew apart. Me and my friend grew apart, so it was just me solo for some time. Started doing shows, doing performances, continuing to put out mixtapes, which is a dated term at this point too.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just kept trying to push, man. And I'd be lying to you if today, while I'm doing it, I still don't have that kind of lingering in the back of my mind. I'm a little older, we're a little bit older, so it's a young man's game for the most part. Even though, like Freddie Gibbs is out there blowing up and he's 30 something,
Yeah.
he's 40 or something like that. But yeah,
Do
sorry, long-winded answer.
you still put your stuff on DatPiff or any like public like?
No, I
You're
stopped
right.
doing.
Mixtapes are gone.
Yeah.
You just reminded me, man. I was doing the DatPiff.
Yeah.
This is early millennium. So for those that listen that are younger than us, I think the website's still there. Datpiff.com is still existing. But that's where you get music and burn them onto your CD.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's where all my CDRs had all the mixtapes in there. But yeah, DatPiff. I don't put it on DatPiff anymore. I don't even know. Honestly, I haven't been to that site in a long time, so I'm not even sure. I used to try and sneak my stuff into LimeWire and stuff like that, like put different titles. So just find some way to put me out there. I was one of those guys that you listen to, like, oh man, I'm listening to a new Jay song, and then I come up. It's like, oh man.
Hey, that's what Soulja Boy said. He used to sneak his songs on LimeWire.
Yeah. Yep.
So it works. So you learn
it works.
So you're going through, and you had a very you're an engineer, so obviously STEM. That's a very demanding major. So did you really have to like did you fully balance it, or was there a time where you just like literally didn't do no music, took mad breaks? Like what?
So actually, I started off, my major was criminal justice in undergrad, and forensic stuff. I went that route, didn't realize by the end that's not where I kind of wanted to be, just from that alone. And then I went to sales from there, just because that might be my way of going. And then I realized, technology is something I do love just as much as not as much as music. I take that back, but it's something I do like. And it's just kind of where I found my way into a great organization, and just they kind of bred me from there to do what I do.
So because of that and the mindset, I'm just going to assume, do you know how to produce your own music? Like I'm thinking engineering. Do you know how to do audio engineering?
So I mix, master, and I edit my own stuff. Production wise, I don't do that. I tried multiple times and I'm just not nice. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't click. So yeah, I do edit, mix, and I try to master my own stuff.
So I'm going to bring up family life real quick. Take us back when you met Lori. I know, your wife is good people at Mason. Did you already meet her and say, I'm a rapper, or you kept that in the pocket?
That's the first thing I said, like, hey, nice to meet you. No, I just like
how I'm a rapper. Like how bring that up, beginning a relationship.
Yeah, we were dating, and I think I forgot what date it was, or maybe like fourth. I forgot how long we were in a relationship. And then I did a song to that Bruno Mars, The Way You Are beat. And I was like, oh, I just played that song, but then I slipped my verse at the back end about her at the end. And then she's like, oh, who's that? I'm like, oh, that's me. She's like, she did not believe that was me for some time. And that's just kind of what slipped in it. She's been insanely supportive of my passion. Like she knows how much it means to me. So it's been awesome.
Does she not love is blind, but is it real deal? Does she tell you, go back in the lab and work on this bar?
I know she won't tell me explicitly, but I know when something's kind of not the greatest. And she's like, she'll kind of stop, because when she loves something, she'll tell me really quickly. But then sometimes it's kind of like, it was good. And I'm like, all right, gotta go
back. Oh man! All right, so we're full balance. So fatherhood, I got the podcast. We're doing this. We're squeezing in recordings. Talk about that. Like I think my podcast is 5 years old. So I started while my son was 2. I started when my son was 2. So it wasn't as crazy. But then I will be honest, when I got 2 kids, it was like I had to find time. I do it at night. I do it at midnight. I think the frequency of my podcast has gone down a little bit. I mean, gone down. Yes, has. So, but it was similar to your music. It was like, okay, I'm not going to let it go because I have kids, but it definitely has to be very thoughtful. So talk about the music as you transition, and similar, was it easier with 1 than 2? Because I do believe podcasting was easier with 1.
I agree fully, man. It was definitely easier with 1, and it definitely changed my content a little bit too. Like I started thinking about when they came out. Well, my daughter was first, so I started thinking about later on down the line, if she hears this, what is she going to think, right? I'm not gonna I'm gonna say this and that. I'm not gonna be on here thinking I'm Eminem, right? Basically. So it did give me a little bit of a push, though. I remember when she first came out, I did a project within like 2 weeks. For some reason, that passion sparked. Whatever it was, it did. And it was a little bit tougher. I started doing more shows at the time. I honestly don't know why, but I did. And then when second guy comes out, it definitely took a blow. Like you said, when the second one came out, it's tough because we gotta, it was 2-on-1 with the parents before, but
Yes.
now it's man to man, right? So you gotta take care, you gotta take care of one of them. So it definitely took a toll on me. My music definitely became much more sparing. Definitely way more. A lot of time in between. Just off of vibes alone. Like I couldn't just sit and like, all right, I'm gonna work on this for a day or two, like this one song. I had to find pockets to do it.
Yeah.
And it took a while to get used to it, but I think I've been able to get used to that and kind of fuel that because I know when something's coming on, I guess.
What's your thoughts about bringing the kids into the fold? Like for instance, sometimes I throw a mic in front of my kids and see if they like to record podcasts with me or something, or do something like incorporate that hobby
Yeah.
with them. I've had my wife on episode. I'll be bringing my family in.
Nice.
I feel like throwing people in.
Yeah.
What about that thoughts? About the bringing the family into the music.
Yeah, I think it's important. At least for me, since music's so important, they're so important, right? They gotta know each other. They gotta be fused a little bit. So yeah, my daughter's actually been messing around with GarageBand recently. They love music. Um, you know, my son loves dancing and everything. So yeah, it's just music became a huge part of their life, and I'm glad that because they know how important it is to me and Lori because you know it's important when you're ups and downs and everything, and it's something you can learn from. They actually listen to lyrics a lot, which I'm pretty happy about. That's something I've been kind of pushing in, like listen to what they're saying, also, but not just the beat.
I love
Um,
that. I love that.
but yeah,
So do you actually discuss music and like break down
yeah,
I'll be honest with you, the brain needs both creativity and STEM, right?
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
I'll nerd out a little bit. I listened to a TED talk and it was like it should really be STEAM, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scientists need music and creativity and vice
Mm,
versa. So like like if you think about the greatest scientists, a lot of them were music lovers. They love it as a
yeah,
hobby. Music, they would listen to classical, but they listen to music, classical music, but music helped their brain. So I love the fact that your kids are listening to lyrics. Do y'all like think about like talk about music? Like, yo, what do you like about this song? And ask the kids to share
yeah,
their feedback
yeah,
on.
yeah. My daughter's been really into Beyonce recently. She plays soccer, and it's kind of her go-to amp her up music. But then I've started realizing she was listening to lyrics because there's a verse or something like to one of her new songs is like "Move Out the Way." I need some space, and it's kind of she took that and moved that towards soccer, and she kind of fused it together a little bit. Um, yeah, we talk about what's being said, and for good or bad. Sometimes I listen to some music and they hear it, and and I'm like, oh man, I hope they don't recite what I just played. But they do listen, and it's funny how much their memory keeps that stuff too, man. Like 5 days later, my son would just start reciting the same lyrics over and over again. I'm like, man, you just heard that song one time. But then we talk about it, right? What are those lyrics? What do they mean? And everything like that.
I love that. I love that. Uh, I was thinking more so, not more so. I'm thinking another additional like, is there times where you introduce them to the old school music that you grew up on?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. That's important too. Uh, Jay-Z, that was one of my favorite artists growing up, still is. And like just listen to older hip hop artists and trying to understand the feel and what they're trying to give, just passion to it. It's a little bit different. Like older R&B artists, right? Like Erica Badu, like Aaliyah. We played those Anthony Hamilton, that type of music also. There's just this different type of passion in their words and in what they're saying. That's really important. So yeah.
So let's put on our advice hat. What would be some advice
Sure.
for? Are we middle aged? What are we? I don't know.
Man, don't put that.
No,
I don't know what it is.
what would you say? To the person like us, we're in a. I will say similarity where
Mhm.
we are working adults but still have a creative outlet passion. What would you say? What are some tips, some things you would just share? Because let's say some people are starting their creative endeavors now. Like we got a little bit of head
Yeah.
start. You started since 15 years ago. I started 5 years ago. But I get a lot of advice of people saying, I can't start now, or
Mm.
I'm not good enough, or whatever, X, Y, excuses, whatever. What would you tell
Yeah.
that person that wants to be creative with a family?
Just, I mean, you got to carve time, man. I mean, just like how you got to carve time for yourself, that time for yourself can be for your craft. right? And I think that's important. I mean, everyone's busy, right? Everyone has so much going on, especially when you have family, job, whatever else that's added on top of that. But it's kind of just finding time for yourself. Whatever time it might be. It could be early in the morning, like wake up at 5 or 6. It could be late at night when everyone's asleep. But if it's really something you want to do, just do it, man. Just find that time to do it. That's the biggest thing. Because I've had the hardest time finding that sometimes. And I've, like, for example, going to the gym sometimes, I had to realize I have to wake up at 5 in the morning in order to get that done, because I wouldn't be able to do it later on in the day. And music, I do it after the kids are in bed, 8 or 9, 10, whatever it might be. So just find that pocket, I think, is the key.
And then what about the person that says, I'm not good enough to learn? What are some things that, particularly as I love the word craft, because it is a craft. You're getting better, you're building skills. I would say for me, I look at LinkedIn Learning or YouTube and tinker, experiment. But what kind of things would you say for an artist to tinker with their craft?
Just got to keep going, man. I mean, I forgot to quote it. So if you're not learning, you're dying, right? You gotta keep on, working on your craft, whatever it is. There's no time frame, when you expire, you can't learn anything anymore, right? Yeah, I mean, you just have to jump into it. Yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say just do it, but at the same time, you just got to find that it's something you're passionate about and accept how passionate you are about it and just move forward and do it. There's so many people that change jobs on a daily basis, like change careers out of nowhere in their 40s or 50s, and they're still thriving, they're doing well. It's never too late, I feel like.
What are one things that you do? Like, I love it. What is things that you do to hone your craft, even currently now at this place, to get better for yourself?
Well, I get the reps in, right? I try and jump and do as much music as possible. Listen to artists today too, and try and figure out where I am and where everyone else is today. Kind of mix and mash with people that I like, and just listening to other people that are experts in that subject matter, experts in their craft as well, and just try and understand it, because most of the time they're trying to get better too still. So yeah, just listening and working on it, man. Listening to experts.
I had a thought about this too, and I just maybe ask me if this is way off. Vocabulary matters, right? So how do you like read, like do a new word a day or something like that? Or I don't know. I mean, I'm in Toastmasters, right? And we have to and when we we go to a meeting, they give us the word of the day, and you try to use it. So force you to use a word. But I was wondering, I mean, I think a massive vocabulary helps with rapping.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't read as much as I want to, or I should be. Honestly, again, that's something else I got to find time for. That's what I'm trying to carve time to do as well. I don't know. I'm a big movies guy, and I think things that are said, and like I'll go into a little bit later, or near the end, but like this new project I'm working on, literally spawned from that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know if you heard that movie or watched that. So I get a lot of I guess creativity or creative inspiration from movies personally. And also the interactions around, like I try and walk around a little bit whenever I go out, like out being, since we're older, I feel like I'm I get a little tired pretty quickly. So when I go out to a bar or something like that from like 9 or 10, and I just kind of look at people and how they interact, and just being in certain situations just brings that out. I don't know. It's just trying to find that fuel, I guess.
I love that. You did speak to it too about community. So, for instance, joining Facebook, I'm in Facebook groups or group me's. I've connected with other podcasters. So, what about you? Have you still built communities? Or do you have a community around you of other recording artists and of the like?
Yeah. Thankfully, I've kind of started talking to a bunch of people, as I went, and still continue to keep in touch with them. I definitely think community is important, because they'll give you that not only inspiration, but that critique that's necessary sometimes. Community is big. I think social media has been good, good and bad to a degree, but it connected me with a few people that I never would have to begin. There's a producer from like Japan or something that I work with. But you can tell it's beautiful because music is universal. So these people from all over the world, you talk to them, and it just spawns that creativity, I guess.
I love it. Okay, so I did lie. I did say that the only part organized about my show is the end shout outs and plugs, but that's totally false. I got a segment called Shot for Shot. Shot for shot, I get to ask you any random question. You get to ask me any random question. Do you want to go first? I go first.
You go first, man. Go ahead.
All right. So you spoke to it. You said you were listening to Go Go, Black Sheep. You was listening to it. So let's say you had a limited budget, to have a music festival in Northern Virginia. Something by the Capitol, not something by the water, something by the Capitol.
Okay.
And I'll give you time to gather yourself. Give me at least 5 acts on that festival stage.
Okay.
Who the headliner is or not, I don't care. But 5, like, yo, when we put out that flyer and that flyer says, this is the festival by the Capitol by Alex Yee. These are his people. He's bringing on stage. Who are they?
Of course, I'm going to say, Jay-Z's going to be a headliner somehow. Okay. Somehow, because then that's going to bring everyone in, right? But I definitely like to, when you said that, the first thing I thought about was just community, like you mentioned, and just getting people together. I try and find acts that love music. Like I bring in Anderson .Paak probably. I try and bring in her. Jid's one of my favorite artists right now. I put him in there as well, JID. Someone that I know a little bit, his name is G Yamazawa. I put him in there, man. He's a poet, rapper. He's super dope. Just people that would spread the message, this community, and how hip hop and the roots would be there for sure as well. But that's kind of the area I would go. Maybe find a few R&B acts as well. Yeah, I think so.
That'd be a dope festival. Okay, someday when I get money, or we just
let's do it, man.
And bug them. the ill feel Positive Filter Alex Yee festival, and then we just get acts.
I like you, man.
Like, where is this? In Centerville.
It's in Centerville, man, right next to the H Mart.
Yeah, there it is. He's on stage. All right, what's your question for me?
When are you gonna be a Commanders fan again, man?
I am glad, because this comes up every. I'm gonna say this right now on record, on wax, on whatever you call it. I was born into this. My father is military, and he grew up and he had an opportunity. I was like, Dad, we're military. We had a chance to love all these teams, and we stuck with the Redskins. And that was my dad, day one. And so, and then my dad married my mom and her family. My Uncle Warren had season tickets during the heyday too. So RFK days. So my dad was brought in, and kind of like he didn't have a father because his father passed away when he was really early. So Uncle Warren took him under, and was literally introduced him to the Redskins. So my dad's diehard.
Yeah.
And then we got season tickets. So ever since I was, in middle school, I've been going to games. Just like why, like just lost. Like more. I think I've seen more losses than wins during my time.
That's a story of our time, man. As fans,
yes,
I get
you. I have so many tickets. I have the ticket booklet. Yeah, I've seen Barry Sanders rush for 200-something yards on us. I was like, I love Barry Sanders.
Yeah. Was that a playoff game? I think I saw
that was a normal random game.
It was a random game. Okay.
Game, and he just went off on us for 200 yards. I can tell you as many times other players that I look up to have gone off on us.
Yeah.
Keywords us. But I will say this, over time, and this is on record, I don't care. I am so disgusted with the ownership of Dan Snyder. I agree. He's not nice. He don't have football IQ. He just throws money away. He just cares about charging people. He don't care about the fan experience. The stadium is not fan friendly. Nope. It made me upset. Nope. You know what I'm saying? And I think I just hit a tipping point. I was like, I'm done. Like with during the news. So I will say this right now. Philip Wilkerson will come back on board. I will jump back on the Commanders train once Dan Snyder signs that check and sells the team. I will be back.
Go.
I'm telling you right now. I will change I will put on a jersey. I'll be obnoxious again. No, seriously, I was obnoxious. Hating on the Cowboys. I've been mute. I've been mute. I don't talk about the other teams in NFC. I have not talked trash. I'm done. I'm not a fan. But once I come back, I'm back full tilt.
Full force.
I'm trolling everybody. I'm back, and it's
Oh
gonna
man,
happen. I
it's gonna
joked.
happen. I look forward to
I
it.
didn't think it was going to happen. I said that a long time ago. I was like, I'm not going to be a fan until he's not the owner no more. And
Yeah,
then this
I think
news
I
thing
saw that
came up.
post. That's why it came up.
And I was like, oh snap, this might be a reality. I might be a fan again. Man,
That's
I'm telling
dope,
you,
man.
I was joking. I had a vision that was like, wow, it'd be really dope to see a Super Bowl. I was 6 years old, 91. I was 6. I remember watching it in Kansas military. But I was like, realistically, am I have to be like 80 years old in a wheelchair or something? And my kids, my grandkids taking me to the
Yeah.
parade? Is that the next time I'm going to see the Super Bowl?
Oh man. Oh man. It might be, honestly. I mean, just
I
the way
mean, I
it's been
take it.
working.
It's gonna get. If I'm old or young, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to the
Yeah.
parade. I'm
Yeah.
going to the parade. Okay, that'd be
Yeah.
another reason too. I ain't gonna lie. If they win the Super Bowl this year,
Yeah.
I'm obnoxious.
You gonna go?
I'm going
Okay,
to the
okay.
parade.
All right, I'll see you there, man.
Parade.
Yeah.
Parade. I'm like, I love them.
Yeah.
People control me. Anyone that listens to this can control
Yeah.
me. I don't care. I am a bandwagon person. I'll
Yeah.
bandwagon if they win the Super Bowl, and I'll bandwagon once Dan
What's that?
Snyder wins the team.
I wouldn't call that bandwagon with inside the leaves, man. That's coming back. That's not really a bandwagon to me. That's just coming back because it's been some dark years with that fool there, man. I don't know.
Reclamation. I think they call that reclamation. Yeah. I got reclaimed.
You got reclaimed.
I got reclaimed. Okay, here's my second one. I'm gonna do 2 shot for shots because I'm enjoying this. What is for you? What was your favorite musical moment as an artist? I would love to hear that. Like where you got that stage high or something. I don't know, or you was in the flow where you just felt like it was good. What was one of the best musical moments for you?
So I didn't do the best during this time, but there's this collaboration event that happens. They bring a bunch of Asian acts, like musicians, to this thing where they I guess everyone submits and they pick a handful of people and they perform, competing against each other to see who they win or who wins rather. And this happened, I forgot when, 2013, 2014, I forgot, but it was actually right when my daughter was born. I got accepted in that. But then just being on that stage, I never really did. I did parties, I did shows. It wasn't that big, but that was a pretty large stage. I didn't do as well as I wanted to because I was, my heart was it was almost out of its chest. But it was a great moment. I felt, I was like, man, this must be how it feels the bigger the shows get. And just the vibe and the energy, just like standing backstage and looking at the stand, seeing so many people, seeing families, seeing people I don't know, and it's just. Yeah, that was probably my favorite moment. I think just off of the energy and vibe alone, for sure.
Did you do a call and response and they responded to you?
I did.
That would have gave me juice. That would have given me juice.
I did. Yeah, that was one of them, man. I did. I got in the clap because I was doing this. I did this whole like 1, 2, 3, most def. I took that and I kind of did my own thing off of that. And they were clapping. I was like, oh shit, they're clapping with me. All right, cool. Let's keep it going.
That would give me juice.
Yeah, but that would probably be it, I would think.
All right. Well, this has been great, Alice. I think it's a long time coming. Just to even illustrate this, we had this on the recording since August, but life caught up with us. But we made it happen. It is recorded, and I'm just so happy to learn. I took notes. I always take notes and learn so much about my guests. But now this is the part of the show that's all yours. It's called shout outs and plugs. Shout outs, show love to anyone you want to show love to, anyone. So you can, don't forget nobody. And then plugs. Plugs are the things, like you said, you're working on, your projects, and ways the listeners that listen to this podcast can tap in with you, because I'll make sure to put it in the show notes. So shout outs and plugs.
Yeah, shout out to my wife. Like you said, that's the first and foremost, right? My kids too. Shout out to family and friends. I got too many family for me to listen one by one. But yeah, you know who you are, so shout out to you. But as far as plugs are concerned, this project I was talking about earlier, the Less Sense, the Better is what it's called. Comes out second week of December, I believe. I forgot what date that was. But yeah, it's basically, like I said, I took that Everything Everywhere All at Once. That movie really spoke to me, just about the experience, being Asian, having immigrant parents, and just going through the whole thing of everything going on. Yeah, really love it, man. It's my favorite thing I've probably ever done. Got some dope features. Got G Yamazawa, the dude I talked about earlier. Shout out to him. His project came out today. Trey Libra, Black Haze, and production by a bunch of heads like Jay Bird and Bite, Katsuro, The Artist, Rob Kelly. I'm gonna forget them all, but that's my favorite one I've ever done because yeah, I didn't kind of conform to the usual things. Where when I make projects, I'm like, man, I got to get a banger. I got to have A, B, C, D. This time, I just kind of made sense. It just made sense with the flow. Like I just did whatever came to mind as it went through. So I'm really excited about this one.
So,
Recently dropped an EP with my boy Invite, and then got another one with Black Ace coming out next year.
perfect. One is, where can we find these? Are they going to be streaming on all the streaming platforms?
All the streaming platforms, man. Yeah, all the streaming platforms.
And two, and then what about some? Do you have any social or any things where people can tap in, social, check in with you?
Yeah, for sure. IG is probably the one I'm most active on, and it's underscore A Live is where it's from, AYLYV. Yeah, and that's where you can probably catch me the most. I'm on Twitter and all that, but I'm mostly on IG for the most part.
Gotcha. Well, please check out this music. I'm gonna definitely bookmark this and listen to the new album when it comes out, and give some feedback to this artist face to face when we drop our kids off or see each other again. But please support this. As you know, being creative is the main thing, is supporting others' creativity, and supporting those in our community, like Alex. I think it's always great. I get so jazzed when I see people like me that still make time to do things creatively. So I'm supporting you. I'm rocking with you. And I just think it's a great thing that you're doing, especially sharing that with your family. So please support Alex in his journey and subscribe to all those things. Positive Philter listeners.
I forgot one shout out, and that's shout out to you, man. I appreciate you getting me on here and what you do. It's beautiful, man. I was watching some of your podcasts earlier. I love it, man. I love you, getting these people on here and speaking their stories and who they are and everything. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you. Well, obviously, that's, like I said, I learned from everyone's journey. I feel like I ain't gonna lie to the listeners. I made $0 on this podcast, zero. But the wisdom and knowledge that I get from guests like you has been just as much as money. I got so many notes from other guests. This is basically a treasure for me, and also a time capsule. Because when I want to listen to things, I listen to my own episode. I listen to my guests, obviously, because I don't want to hear myself talk. But I listen to my guests, and so this has been, you have filled me up and brought so much to my episode just as much. So thank you so much. Positive Philter listeners, if you like this episode, please share it with a family member or friend. That's how we elevate the podcast. Please like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, or leave a review that elevates this up to new audiences as well. And if you want to leave a voicemail for the podcast, you can do so by calling 571-336-6560. That's 571-336-6560. Additionally, every episode of the podcast from here on out is dedicated in memory of my father-in-law, Jeff Kirsch. And you will see in the show notes that I've included the Jeff Kirsch Anti-Hunger Fund. Consider donating to that fund, or just supporting those that have food insecurity, because that was something that was very near and dear to my father-in-law. And I want to respect him and his memory with this podcast. So every episode is dedicated to him. I love him, and my thoughts are, always with him. But thank you so much, Positive Philter listeners, and we're out. Thank you for listening to Positive Philter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.